Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again. Here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing an anime throwback review. Viewer requested. This one is for the infamous Death Note. Okay, so this is one I have been intending on reviewing for so long. Probably, I don't know, 2-3 years. I've had it on the list, and I just never quite got around to doing a thorough review of Death Note. So I definitely wanted to do that. A couple people yesterday asked that I do it, and I was like, oh, I still haven't done that yet. Let me take care of it. I got to do it. So, what is Death Note? What am I talking about? You know, if you guys have never heard of it, what is it? Basically, it's a manga and anime series. The anime, which aired in 2007 in Japan and the following year in North America, the dubbed version, of course. Essentially, the anime runs 37 episodes, and there are 2 OVA movies, which are sort of like, a quick telling of the story, which kind of condense it into a quicker, more watchable, I guess you could say, condensed format. I won't really be reviewing the manga or the OVAs here. All I will say is that the manga and the anime at this point, you might as well watch the anime because there's amazing soundtrack, amazing visuals, amazing art style, great voice acting by the cast. I would say probably just watch the anime at this point. The manga is kind of, unless you really like reading manga or comic books, then go ahead and read the manga. But for most people, you're probably going to watch the anime. I will put a link to the first episode of the series, those of you guys who have not seen it, in the description. So if you want to click it and check it out, you can do so. But it is fairly lengthy, like I said, 37 episodes. So unless you have some time, you might not be able to watch it all. However, if you start watching it, I can almost promise you, you will be hooked almost instantaneously. This show stands out to me as probably the most intellectually stimulating anime or manga I've ever seen or read. There are so many complex, intriguing elements to this series. It's amazing. It really is. It's probably the most intellectually stimulating anime, ever. I don't think I can think of a single one that really can hold a candle to Death Note. There are so many different layers to it. Mind games between Kira or Light and the people who he is opposed against. You have L. You have Nier. Just so many different mind games and back and forth chess matches of what they're doing, and just intriguing situations that I can say I've never really seen in any other show or series or anything that really feel like it. It's very unique. It's very interesting. And it's definitely something you should check out. So if you have not seen Death Note, all I will say is that go ahead and click that link in the description. Do yourself a favor and check out Death Note. For the rest of you guys that have seen the series, I'll try to keep it light spoilers from here on out, but I may say a few things here and there. I may slip. Sometimes I do that from time, here and there. I don't like to edit too much, so here and there I do slip sometimes. I'll try to keep it down, though, as much as I can with the spoilers and just be, as kosher as possible over the different events that happen. So I look at Death Note, the anime anyway, because I'm big in anime versus the manga, as having 2 separate large chunks. You have the first part, which is essentially episodes 1 to 25, which is like the Light versus L saga, I guess you could say. Then post that, you have some more interesting characters that come into the fray with Nier and Melo, and lots of different interesting new, sort of after this little time skip, elements that come into play with different characters who have different styles. Now, a lot of people feel like the anime should have ended, or the manga should have ended, at episode 25. I do not feel that way. I actually enjoy it very much past that point, and think some of the best elements of the series are past episode 25. I really like the ending of the series. I think it definitely does not. I want to say, without spoiling anything, it it doesn't throw any punches. It absolutely goes through with kind of the whole theme and plot that it's been setting up all the way through. That's the best I can kind of go without spoiling anything and say it. Now, in terms of in terms of the way I look at the two big main story arcs there in the series, that's how I look at it essentially. Now, in terms of the characters, so to list off the main characters in the series, we have of course Light, who's Kira. We have Misa, L, Near, Melo, and of course we have the Shinagamis, or Shinigami, I guess it's already plural. To go through each character fairly quickly, Light I find to be a very enjoyable and intriguing character. I like the fact that he realizes, or what he's doing, he justifies in his mind his actions in that he is actually helping out the world. And I believe throughout the series they do sort of point towards the fact that war and all these things have almost completely stopped due to Light's way of doing things. Now, so that's where a lot of the interesting elements come into play on whether or not you see him as an ethically, morally good character or bad, and whether or not what he's doing is good or bad. When you look at the greater good of what Light is doing, he actually is, the world is benefiting from him being there. Because, for example, if you have a war, okay, if a war breaks out, like, you know, in the real world, there's war all the time. People are getting killed every day somewhere due to some war at any given time. In the Iraq War, for example, however many people died, I mean, just so many, it's crazy. And that continues on, that perpetuates all the time. That's always happening, seems like, in the real world. So if he has to kill a few people in order to stop, you know, that happening in the greater that many, then it does in fact benefit the world. And I would actually say that in terms of the greater good, he is actually good. He's not evil. He's not bad. He actually is a good guy because he is benefiting the world overall, even though the actions he's taking to do it and the people that he is essentially sentencing to death with his Shinigami and his Death Note, the end justifies the means, you know, if you think of it. Now, I don't think the act by itself of sentencing people to death for certain crimes that usually don't justify it. I mean, the only one I would think of that would really justify the death penalty would probably be murder, and that's debatable in the circumstances, the situation, and things like that, and whether or not the state should be allowed to do that and all of that. You can get into all these things, and it's pretty debatable, and I view that as closer. But if somebody's a serial killer or something like that, or you know, to stop war, definitely 1 or 2 deaths here or there is definitely worth it. So I do think it's interesting that Light actually, even though the series a lot of times looks at him as evil for the things he does, I would actually say from the greater standpoint, the more macrocosmic view, Light is actually a good person, and what he's doing is justified. The thing is that he will not let anything stand between him and his goal and what he's doing, and is even willing to sacrifice the people he cares about most in order to accomplish his goal and his dreams. Just brings in some very interesting different emotional ties and elements to it. So making the story even more complicated and even more intricate and interesting in that regard, bringing in questions of ethics and what's right and what's wrong, question your morals, all these things into this show, which is already complex and interesting enough as it is. So that's Light, or Kira. I love his story arc all the way through, all the way up until the end. And he's a fantastic character. Definitely, without, you know, you got to have that really great core character to have any great anime or manga, and Light definitely is that. He definitely has that. Going on from there, Misa. A lot of people hate Misa. I don't. I think that Misa is kind of like that representation of what a 18-year-old boy or guy would want, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's all I can really say. You know, like, he's intelligent. You know, a lot of guys like that, they wouldn't necessarily want to have a female that is as intelligent as them or more so. they would want to have, you know, that stereotypical, you know, good looking, this kind of thing. And that's all they would really care about, because a guy like him could really get whatever he wants in terms of, yeah, basically whatever he wants, top of his class, everything like that. Good, you know, intelligence wise, intellect wise, could do whatever he wants. So I don't hate her as a character. She might be a little annoying here and there with some of the stupid things she does or says, but I don't hate her as a character. Going on from there, L. A lot of people's favorite character from the series. Actually, not my favorite character. I'd say my favorite character would be Light, or Kira. L, I think it's really interesting too. Probably sticking out to me as the most interesting thing he says in the entire series would be, I don't necessarily know if what Light or Kira is doing is good or evil. I'm just trying to stop him because I am. Essentially, this is the game. This is what I do. I enjoy this, and that's why. In terms of ethics, is it right or wrong? I think he kind of realizes that from a macrocosmic view, you know, the ends, or the end does justify the means. But he recognizes that, and yet still, this is what he does. So he enjoys it, and he's going to do it. And you could even go a little further than that and say maybe that's why he makes certain decisions at certain times, because maybe he didn't really want to catch him, or maybe he did. You know, you can get into all these things. But anyway, great character. I think his quirks are really funny. Everything he does, the way he sits and everything, eating candy and just junk food all the time, really funny. So Al, definitely a lot of people's favorite character from the series. Not mine, but he's definitely one of them. Going on from there, we have Nier. I like Nier a lot. A lot of people say he's a clone of L. I think he's different enough from L to not be L. And also, I think that an interesting thing about him that you can take from him in the series is that he sort of, it's kind of like he learns after what happens to L. He learns from L's circumstances, and in the second story arc, the second half, as I like to think of it as, he sort of takes the work from his predecessor and is able to go forward with it. From his, I guess you could call it like a teacher in this standpoint, not directly, but kind of indirectly. And from his work, is able to deduce certain things and take it to the next level and go through with it. I think his quirks are also really funny too. Obviously, I collect action figures, and he likes to play with toys, which is fun, and be by himself all the time. I'm not introverted in that regard, but I still do relate to that to some degree, because it's fun to just brood sometimes. Sometimes I do it on camera. So I do like that about Nier. I think he's weird with his little twerks he does and things like that. And I do like him as a character. I don't hate him. I know a lot of people do, but I don't. I like him a lot. Melo, I don't like Melo very much. Reckless, stupid. Well, not stupid, but reckless, kind of crazy. A weird design art-wise, the way Melo looks and everything. I don't care for Melo too much. I'll just say it that way. I don't care. She's the opposite of Nier. I don't care for Melo. And then the Shinigami, who all have personalities of their own. Pretty interesting as well, too. Lots of fun. Lots of other characters in the show other than just that, but those I would say are probably the main ones. And in terms of a score for Death Note, I mean, the graphics are amazing. They're stunning. The sound is awesome. Like even the intro, the second intro, we've always been this to feel all this pain. It's just such a weird, like, you know, like intro thing, but it's awesome. I love it. I watch it, I'm like, what the hell is this? Blown away. So cool. So there's that. Sound, graphics on point. Story, one of the best ever. Great characters. Funny at times. Great action, too, and excitement. Great plot development, story arc. And it ended, too, in a good time. Like, it didn't go on forever. Sometimes anime or manga, they go on too long to the point where it's like they start to dwindle in quality, or it's like the writing suffers, or you don't enjoy it as much. It loses that that new feeling. Death Note definitely does not do that, and it's one of my favorite anime or manga of all time, absolutely. Anyone who hasn't seen it definitely has to check it out, owe it to themselves. It's like, it's got to be on your bucket list. One thing to do in your life, watch Death Note, because it'll just change the way you think. It's just so intriguing, so amazing. You just become totally involved and wrapped up in the series. It is that good. So in terms of a score, out of 10, if I have to rate it for what it is, I'd have to give it a perfect 10. I can't see why not. Like I said, the sound, awesome. The graphics, awesome. The plot, amazing. The characters, amazing. Every category you want to look at it from, it's stellar. It's crazy good. crazy good. There's really nothing else like it. Everybody's got to see it. If you like anime, you like manga, you got to see it. At some point, you have to see Death Note. I could go on and talk about this show forever, pretty much. So I'll call it here. I think that's about 15 minutes. So let me know what you guys thought about the review. If you enjoyed Death Note, what are some of your favorite parts of the series? What are some of the things you like the most about it? Are there things you didn't like about it? I can't really think of much that I didn't like. Yeah, no, I thought every episode was like clinging to your seat, wondering what's going to happen next. Where's the mind game going to turn? Just amazing, amazing stuff. So it's one of the best. Deserves a throwback review and a thorough review. Regardless how many people even watch this, I still got to do it. I feel like I'm obligated to do it. If I'm going to do anime reviews, at least even a few of them, Death Note has to be one of the ones I do, absolutely. So anyway, I'll call it here. That's pretty much it. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev. I'm saying peace.